I rise to stand on a matter of public importance. When Senator Pocock and I agreed to vote for a second tranche of the Closing the Loops legislation, amongst other things, we asked for and thought we got from Minister Burke in good faith, a review of the suitability of the Fair Work Act small business definition, currently set at fewer than 15 employees. Following a reshuffle, the new minister decided, that'd be Senator Watt, Mr Watt, told the ABC that he didn't have plans to follow through on our good faith agreement. How disappointing. Apparently the words good faith means absolutely nothing to this government. This doesn't just send a very bad message to Australians. It says very clearly that the Albanese government is totally out of touch with small business and what they are dealing with right now. Tasmania has lost thousands of small businesses since this government come to power, and over 6,000 jobs have been lost over the last 6 months alone. They have been smashed by the red tape, including the message that the unfair dismissal laws, which have completely gone left, absolutely left. This government, since this government came to office, promising greater transparency, promising integrity, promising the Australian people that they would be careful about how they spend Australians' taxpayers' dollars, I think we all had high hopes, or at least some hope, that this government will not just talk the talk, but they would walk the walk. But let's face it, they're not walking, they're crawling, and they're still in their naps. I think the only thing this government cares about is getting re-elected again. That's why they've done a dirty deal with the coalition to design election funding rules that helps the major parties lock in more power. Time and time again, this government has tried to stitch up the crossbench. While they took away crossbench resources, they've pushed a mountain of legislation onto the crossbench without hardly any notice. The Australian Labor Party likes to think of itself as a party for the people, but according to my research, they could also be known as the party of guillotines. Yeah, absolutely, holding a new record on that. For those Australians watching who aren't political junkies, let me explain. A guillotine is when the government, usually in an attempt to avoid debate and scrutiny, put a lot of bills together and try to get them passed all at once. I don't like guillotines. This government is in just one term has brought on more guillotines than the coalition did in 9 years. In 2.5 years, you've shut debate down more in here than what the coalition did in 9 years in power. Absolutely shameful. From the start of the 47th Parliament to August, this government has stopped debate and pushed through 157 different pieces of legislation. That's 157 bills that weren't properly debated or scrutinised. A prime example of this is just last sitting week. The government jammed the Naval Nuclear Power Safety Bill down the crossbenchers' throats. Despite there being 30 crossbench amendments on this bill, none of them even had a chance of being debated, let alone seeing the day of light. There was no community engagement. The local council that was affected by the Osborne site has since voted to oppose the storage and disposal of radioactive waste at the site. This just goes to show how much disregard the duopoly major parties have for communities, the Australian people and the crossbench. This government doesn't care about struggling small businesses, and my God, are they struggling? They are on their knees, absolutely on their knees. They don't care about kids getting addicted to gambling, and they don't care about wasting taxpayers' money, that's for sure. And they certainly don't care about integrity and transparency. I can tell you, I just want to remind Australians, these guys over here, they did everything that they could to before that last election to say to you, we will be transparent. We will be so transparent that we promise you, if there's one thing we promised you, we will be transparent. Well, you failed. You have not been transparent with the Australian people. Even in here trying to get questions on notice, what a joke. Waiting months on end. Can't get it. Don't want to show us documents. This is not the way to run a country. This is not the way to build trust. It's certainly not the way to build trust in here, let alone the trust with the Australian people. So when you go down to the next election, have a good look at yourselves and go back to one word: transparency.
Senator, your